They were crowned Most Valuable Player, the highest individual honor in basketball. But instead of respect, they got ridicule. Instead of praise, they faced controversy. And for some, that MVP trophy felt more like a curse than a crown. Because in the NBA, not all MVPs are treated equally. Some were told they didn't deserve it, others were mocked endlessly online, and a few were completely ignored by their own peers. No nods, no love, nothing. But make no mistake, they earned it. These were elite seasons, historic numbers, team dominance. Still, the hate never stopped. Today, we're counting down the 5 most disrespected MVPs in NBA history. Not the worst MVPs, not the luckiest, but the ones who got the least respect. From fans, the media, and sometimes even other players. Because in this league, being great isn't always enough. Sometimes it's how you do it, or who you are. This is Game 7 Stories, and here are the MVPs, who never got their flowers. Let's begin. The triple-double king who got no love.
2017 Kia NBA Most Valuable Player Award is Russell Westbrook.
In 2017, Russell Westbrook didn't just have a great season, he made history. He averaged a triple-double for the entire year, 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists. A feat the league hadn't seen in over 50 years, not since Oscar Robertson in 1962. At just 6'3", Russ was dominating the glass like a power forward, running the floor like a blur, and exploding for clutch buckets every night. Let's not forget, this was after Durant left OKC. KD had just joined a 73-win Warriors team. Most people thought the Thunder wouldn't even sniff the playoffs. Instead, Westbrook dragged them to 47 wins, led the league in scoring, and gave us one of the most iconic buzzer beaters in NBA history, in Denver. He was a one-man storm, but even with the MVP trophy in his hands, the hate started rolling in. Analysts said he was stat padding. Fans claimed it was a pity MVP. Others said Harden or even Kawhi deserved it more.
Russell Westbrook's supporting cast isn't nearly as good as James Harden.
They nitpicked his shooting percentages. They complained about empty stats. They said triple-doubles didn't mean anything anymore, even though he made them possible. Before Russ, a triple-double was rare. After Russ, it became expected. But instead of celebrating him, they punished him for raising the bar. He made history. He lifted a team with no other all-stars into the playoffs. He gave us emotion, intensity, legacy, and yet, Russell Westbrook might be the only MVP who was mocked the moment he won. The MVP that made players furious. Back-to-back MVPs. Not Shaq, not Kobe, not LeBron. It was Steve Nash. In 2005 and 2006, Nash shocked the basketball world by winning 2 straight MVPs, beating out legends like Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan. And the NBA world lost its mind. Don't get it twisted. Steve Nash was brilliant. He led the #1 offense in the NBA, transformed the Suns into a 60-win juggernaut, and made 7 seconds or less basketball a revolution. But here's the issue. He won MVPs over players who were putting up monstrous numbers. And fans didn't forget it. In 2006, Kobe Bryant averaged 35 points per game, dropped 81 in a single night, and still couldn't get the trophy. Meanwhile, Nash, averaging under 19 points, took home his 2nd straight MVP. The backlash was immediate. Fans said it was rigged. Players said it was political.
Kobe, you only won 1 MVP award.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because the media votes on it.
Oh, you flipped it on me.
Even today, Nash is rarely mentioned among other 2-time MVPs. And what made it worse? Shaquille O'Neal, who lost to Nash in 2005, felt disrespected for life. He said multiple times that Nash stole his MVP.
No, he was a true MVP. Over me? Twice? Oh, get out of here. Hey.
But here's the thing. Nash didn't vote for himself. He just played the right way. He made his teammates better. He ran an offense no one had seen before, and the Suns were nearly unstoppable. But no matter how good he was, People didn't want to see a pass-first Canadian winning over Kobe or Shaq. And so, even with 2 MVP trophies, Steve Nash became the guy who didn't deserve it, the face of one of the NBA's most heated MVP debates ever. The youngest MVP, and the most questioned. In 2011, the NBA witnessed a fairy tale. Derrick Rose, at just 22 years old, won the league MVP, the youngest player ever to do it. He averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and led the Chicago Bulls to 62 wins, the best record in the NBA. And most importantly, he brought hope back to a city that hadn't seen this kind of magic since Michael Jordan. But what started as a feel-good story quickly turned into one of the most questioned MVP picks in history. Why? Because LeBron James had just formed the Miami Heat super team, and even though the public hated it, statistically, he was the better player. LeBron had more rebounds, more assists, better shooting percentages, and was widely considered the most dominant player in the league. But Rose had the narrative, the excitement, the underdog story, and for the first time in years, narrative won over numbers.
I believe that LeBron will win a 5th MVP this year.
Critics said he didn't deserve it. Advanced stat guys said it was MVP voter fatigue, that voters were tired of LeBron. And when Rose's injuries came the next season, some used it to rewrite the past. He was never the MVP. It should have been LeBron. But here's the truth. Derrick Rose didn't ask for the hype. He earned it. He lifted a franchise, ignited a fan base, and made basketball in Chicago matter again.
This right here is for the city of Chicago more than anything.
Was it controversial? Yes. Was it magical? Absolutely. And it remains one of the most beautiful and most debated MVP seasons ever. The MVP no one wanted to believe in. He didn't jump high, he didn't flex, he didn't fit the mold. But in 2021 and 2022, Nikola Jokic won back-to-back MVPs. And still, the basketball world refused to give him his flowers. He averaged 26 to 27 points, over 10 rebounds, and a league-best 8+ assists per game as a center. In 2021, his team lost Jamal Murray and still finished as a top 3 seed. In 2022, with half the roster gone, he dragged Denver to the playoffs again, while putting up one of the most efficient statistical seasons in NBA history. But still, the pushback was everywhere. He's boring. He's not flashy. He can't be the best player. Look at him. Fans didn't trust it. Media personalities downplayed it. Even players, off the record, didn't see him as that guy. And when he won his second MVP, the backlash hit another level. People said he stole it from Embiid, that the numbers didn't match real impact, that he was a regular season merchant. Never mind that his team was injured. Never mind that his efficiency and production had never been seen before from a big man. Because Jokic didn't fit the narrative, he didn't look like an MVP, so people didn't want to believe it. The irony. A year later, he'd win Finals MVP, dominate the playoffs, and prove everything. But during those MVP years, he was arguably the least celebrated back-to-back MVP in modern history. The MVP who took it from Jordan. In 1997, the impossible happened. Michael Jordan was in his prime, the Bulls were 69-13, and MJ had just come off a Finals MVP, All-Star MVP, and the league's best record. But he didn't win MVP. Instead, the trophy went to Karl Malone, and the NBA world has never really forgiven it. Now, let's be fair. Malone had a monster season. 27.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, and led the Utah Jazz to 64 wins. He was durable, efficient, and dominant in the paint. But was he better than Jordan that year? Most fans, and even some players, didn't think so. It wasn't just about stats. It was about legacy. Jordan was at the height of his powers, and this felt like robbery. Even MJ himself took it personally. In the 1997 finals, he famously dropped 38 points with the flu, destroying Malone's MVP narrative on national TV. Fans still say, to this day, Malone didn't win the MVP. He was just given it because voters were tired of Jordan winning everything. It's a rare case of an MVP who was actually punished for not being MJ. And looking back, it's one of the most awkward MVP legacies in history. He never won a title. He lost to Jordan in back-to-back finals. And despite being the second all-time leading scorer for years, he was never truly embraced by fans, partly because of off-court controversies, partly because of how he played, but mostly because he took the one trophy people knew belonged to Jordan. Karl Malone earned that MVP on paper, but in the court of public opinion, he never really got to keep it. The MVP trophy is supposed to be a symbol of greatness, the crown jewel of an elite season. But as we've seen today, most valuable doesn't always mean most respected. Russell Westbrook made history and got laughed at. Steve Nash played beautiful basketball and got blamed for not being someone else. Derrick Rose inspired millions, but was told he didn't deserve it. Nikola Jokic redefined the center position, and fans still acted like it didn't count. Karl Malone won over Michael Jordan, and people never let him forget it. Different eras, different styles, but the same outcome: controversy, debate, and disrespect.
Now, let's hear from Derrick Rose.
And maybe that's the cost of greatness. To win an MVP in the NBA, you need numbers, wins, and narrative. But even with all three, it's not always enough. Because legacy isn't just built on what you do, it's built on how people remember you. Some MVPs go on to win championships, others fade out, some become legends, and some, they become asterisks in YouTube comments. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit. You can win the MVP and still lose the public. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes these 5 stories so powerful. Because they didn't always have the media behind them. They weren't the league's darlings. They didn't play the game to be loved. They played to win, even if the respect came years later, or never at all. So next time you see a guy win MVP and hear the crowd say, "He didn't deserve it," ask yourself this: are we hating the player, or are we just mad? They didn't fit the story we wanted. Because history doesn't care what fans say on Twitter, but you do. And that's why these stories matter. This has been Game 7 Stories. Thanks for watching, and if you've got an MVP you think was disrespected, drop their name in the comments. We'll be watching.